Hi, Melitta, and thank you so much for joining us today. It is lovely to see you on the other side of the camera, even though we're both in Perth actually today. It's been quite cold for the last few days, hasn't it?
Yes, quite cold. Yeah,
And where are you from in South Africa?
Johannesburg, Rillepoort.
Okay, so yeah, I'm also from the Transvaal back in the day. So yeah, we grew up in the same kind of temperatures. How have you found Perth's weather so far?
No, it's been actually quite cold since when we came here 5 years ago. That summer was extremely hot for about 2 years, and then the last 2-3 years has actually been quite timid, I would say. It is a bit cold now in the winter, colder than the first year we came, but yeah, it's luckily only 3 months of the year, so it's all good.
That's true. And Melitta, do you mind introducing yourself to our viewers and telling us who you are and how long have you been in Perth for?
Okay, well, my name is Melitta van Aswegen. I've been in Perth for 5.5 months. My husband and myself came over in 2014. Yeah,
5.5 years.
Sorry.
5.5 years. I think you said five and a half
Five,
months.
sorry, 5.5 years. Yeah, 5.5 years. Sorry.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
So yeah, we came over, just my husband and myself, and yeah, we had 4 kids while we were here, and we built a house, and we moved in like just after we had our triplets. And yeah, so it's been quite a jam-packed 5 years for us. There's a lot of things that happened for us, but yeah, we're very happy, and we're having the kids are enjoying their life, and that's why we came, to give them a good and healthy life, safe. And
So what was the main reason for you guys choosing to move to Australia then? Because at that point you haven't had children yet. So what made you decide to move to Australia?
I just think that we, from the get-go, when we both met each other, we were quite, ready to commit and move forward in our lives. And he was thinking about it, my husband, when we were only together for like a month or two, I think. And then he mentioned it, and I said, well, I would gladly come over, but only, once I'm married. I don't want to come if I'm not there. And then, yeah, we dated for about 3 years, and we were talking about it all the time. And then we just said we don't want to have our kids there, because it wasn't, we just felt it wasn't the perfect place for that, with everything going on. So yeah, that's basically it. And we just thought we'll give it a try. And yeah, we did, and we went for it.
So what was the process? How you decided you wanted to come to Australia? Did you then apply for jobs, or did you just apply for the visa directly, or how did that work for you?
Yeah, what actually happened, I met a lady at my work at that time. She was a HR agent, and we started chatting, and they were on their way to come to Australia. Yeah, and then I asked her, well, then please give me the information, because my husband, at that time, we were married already. No, we weren't, sorry. We were still dating. Time goes by. And then she said she used an agent, and I asked her for the number, and I contacted them, and we just started the process, sent through our documents, and they asked for a lot of documents. And because we weren't married at that stage, when we started it, when we did get, we basically actually were approved. But it was in 2011, we started with the application. We were only engaged by then. And then the next year in April, we got married. And then they sent forms back to us and said, no, because we were married just before we came, they were kind of scared that we're just doing it for the visa. So we needed to prove that we've been in a relationship. But at that stage, we were in a relationship for like 3 years. So we just needed some proof, photographs with dates on them, and tickets that we've been together for a while, letters from friends and things like that, to just justify that we weren't just getting married so that we can do the visa.
Yeah. Yes, because there are actually people doing that. That's almost like an industry where,
yeah.
Yes, some people just want to get into Australia at all costs. So Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
in a way it's frustrating, but on the other hand, that's why we love Australia. That's why we are here, because things are working according to the rules, and they do what, yeah,
Yeah.
makes it a civil society, I guess. So
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
frustrating when you're on the other end, when you have to do the proving, but when you're
Yeah.
on the receiving end, then we're glad about it. So so then you moved over to Perth directly.
Yeah, yeah. We immediately applied for a PR, permanent residency. I had a friend that was living here in Perth, that I knew, that I used to work with in South Africa. We were very close friends, and they moved here a few years back. And then I got in contact with her, and I just got information, with regards to everything here. And then as soon as we got our visa was approved, we booked for us to come here just to activate our visa. And we stayed with her for a few days. We did like a round trip. We went to Melbourne because we actually got Victoria State sponsorship.
Okay.
So we went to Melbourne and then to Sydney. Yeah, but then when we were done with the trip, I actually said to my husband, you know what, I know that we actually have to stay in Melbourne, but I just love Perth. I would love to stay there. It just, I don't know, it just spoke to both of us from like the first day we got here. But yeah, it was at that stage we thought we weren't allowed. Yeah, then we started looking, but both of us actually started looking for a job. But we also decided that I won't start working immediately because we wanted to start a family. We were just waiting to immigrate before we started, because moving with a small child is a bit hectic. And yeah, so then he actually applied for a lot of work, and myself as well, which we didn't hear anything back. And then one day was headhunted from a company here in Perth. And yeah, so they sent through the contract. It was literally within a week. They had
Wow.
2 interviews, and then they said, okay, you can come. But luckily we had our PR already. And I think the biggest issue is usually people want someone that's already here. So we just said, we already have our PR, we're ready to go. So
But
within
you
a
were
month.
in Victoria at that point still.
No, we weren't. We just came to have a look at all the places. We came to Perth and Melbourne and Sydney, and then we flew back home, and it was about 10 months later, or maybe even a year. I can't exactly.
Okay.
I think about 12 months later, we got the phone call from these employers. And yeah, so they sent through a contract, and we were happy with it, and we just decided we got to grab this now because it's in Perth. I was a bit afraid about the Victoria State sponsorship, but then somebody explained that if you can prove that you've been looking for work and you couldn't find anything, you can still go. And then you just have to kind of report back every 6 months. And luckily, this employer, their main office was in Melbourne, so they were just basically registering him there, and he was working here. So
Okay. And do you mind asking, if I ask what your husband does? What's the line of work?
he's an IT. He's an IT.
Okay.
Yeah.
And yourself, Melitta, do you used to work in South Africa? Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I
And
used
what's
to be
your
in
line of work?
I was in the hospitality industry, doing weddings and function and everything, or functions. Didn't have much of a life, just worked. But yeah, so then just decided and a little bit of office admin here and there at the end. But yeah, we just decided that our main priority was, starting a family at this side. Yeah, and then I got the surprise and just kept on being a mother for now. Hopefully I'll go back to work soon again, but yeah.
What a big surprise that was. The three beautiful, gorgeous kids all at once. So you have been a busy mum. You have been sleeping not much, I'm sure, and enjoying a lot of cuddles and learning,
Yeah, no,
helping kids to walk. How have you found being a mum in Australia so far? How have you found the support systems, and do your children go to daycare at all?
Well, first of all, it's been amazing actually. I have to admit that since the day we came here, the support was just phenomenal. I was here for 2 weeks and I met a friend of mine in Woolworths actually. Just I was just she was reprimanding her kids and I was like, yeah, that's the South African, it must be, because I've heard a few other kids in the shops and obviously I was not a mother by then, so then you are much more critical, I think, about kids. But
Yes.
yeah, and then we started chatting and yes, they invited us, she and a few other friends invited us for a braai, and yeah, that's how I met them. And yeah, but anyway, so I fell pregnant eventually after I had one miscarriage, which was a bit bad, but I was just amazed at the hospitals and the doctors and the support of my friends at that stage. I didn't know a lot by then. It was actually, once you have kids, you start actually getting to know a lot of people. So yeah, it was amazing. I mean, especially with the triplets. When I had the triplets, it was phenomenal, the amount of support I got. There was a food train that was created by the church, and a lot of friends came during the day to help. Some even cleaned my house. They even helped me pack and move because we built a house before we knew that we were having triplets, and everything happened like so quickly. I came out of the hospital the Monday, and the Friday we moved into our new house. So it was quite a hectic time for us. And I mean, the friends were just amazing. I don't even have enough words to say how much everyone came to help. I had help from all over, literally.
And your children, so do they go to daycare at all, or are they permanently full time in your care?
They're full time, but the triplets only started going to daycare a few months ago, once a week, because it's so expensive.
Yes.
But when they were born, I sent Freddie, my little boy, I sent him to daycare for 3 days a week, which helped a lot. But yeah, as you know, it's quite expensive, so you're kind of limited, especially if you're only getting one is earning the money in the house. So yeah.
Yes, it is very expensive. But luckily Freddie will be going to kindy as of next year, I think, in his age.
This year already. He is 3 days a week. Yeah, that's why we could send them once a week, because he's out of creche now. I call it still creche, like in South Africa.
Yes, creche, daycare. There's so many different ways that the different countries refer to the care before school. Kindergarten, I think the Americans talk about kindergarten, which for us is kindy, and that's only 1 year in Australia, and that's the year that you turn 4. And you know what's the confusing thing here is because they do it from July to June, which makes it so hard for me to work out, because I'm still in old South African way. You go January to December, and that's the year. If you're born in that year, that's the year that you go to school. So yeah, it's quite confusing still. Tell me, Melitta, with your settling in Australia, how did you get to know people and make friends, and how did that aspect work for you? Because you were a stay-at-home mum with young children and your husband was working. How did you find basically getting people to be able to call somebody on your phone and just say, can we go and have a coffee? How did that work for you?
Well, I'm luckily blessed with a quite outgoing personality, so I'm not really shy. I think, but I have to admit that once I came here, I didn't, obviously didn't have kids in the first year, so that was a very difficult time for me, to be quite honest. I think I got quite depressed. I did meet a few friends here and there, which introduced me to other friends, and that's how I got to know people. But I remember distinctly one day, I was sitting there. There's a Facebook page, Proudly South African to Perth, and I just decided, oh well, I can't sit here and feel sorry for myself. I need to just get out there. So I just posted on there and said that I'm new, I'm kind of lonely. I would like to go out for a coffee. Is there anybody that maybe feels the same, or just, you know, out there? And I got quite a big reply. And yeah, so through that, I met a lot of people, and I started going out for coffees. And somebody also introduced me into the Meetup webpage, www.meetup. I went through a lot. I went through quite a lot of meetings there, where I also met a lot of people. Some were also South Africans. It's just
That's interesting. I haven't heard of that one. So it's almost like a dating site, but it's not for dating, it's for meeting friends. Is that right?
Well, you can do basically anything on there. If you're an artist, or if you are a musician, or if you are an IT, like my husband, I actually said to him he must try and go on there, because, you know, you can like-minded people. If you're, I don't even know, if you love books, there's like a book club meetup group that you can go to. I went actually for business, you know, like now I can't get to the word, but
networking.
Yeah, sorry.
Networking.
Yeah, there we go. A networking group for business, actually. But yeah, and that's how I met a lot of people. And it's it's across the globe. You can go anywhere. And that's how I met a lot of people as well. And then somebody introduced me, actually my doctor, which was a South African, he introduced me to his wife, which was part of the South African play group that is here in Perth. But it's called Babble Backies. Yeah, and there I met a lot of South African moms, and we started chatting. I also joined a play group when Freddie was born, you know, the Aussie one that you get from the hospital. They introduced you like to the new moms. Yeah, so there I met a lot of Aussies, and yeah, so it just grew, you know, it just kept on growing.
So do you have mostly a South African circle of friends, or do you have a mixture of different nationalities now?
Now with the smaller kids, I tend to have more South African ones now, but I do know a lot of Aussies as well, which I and actually a lot of UK ladies that I sometimes meet up with. But yeah, just I don't know, everyone, I just make friends wherever, because the more you know, the better. So yeah, that's just my outlook in life. Yeah.
So what would you say have been the hardest thing for you with settling in here in Australia, or what's the one thing in Australia that you wish you could change?
The speed limit. It's torture for me, but yeah, that is, I think, the thing I would really change. Other than that, I really have to say that I don't have a lot of things that irritates me, except for the speed limits. But I mean,
that's the 100 kilometers an hour on the freeway. That's the one you're talking about.
That one I can still, yeah, it is hard, but I can still deal with that when it's like the 40s. I know it's for safety, but like the 40 zones, or even the 50. The other day they actually pulled me off and gave me a fine because I was driving 50 kilometers, and I'm like, really, seriously, 50? I'm getting a fine for driving 50. I could just as well stay at home, for that matter, or take my bicycle, you know. So, yeah, that's a bit hard. But other than that, you know, I'm quite happy. I really have to say that since the day we came here, we just adjusted very well. And it was difficult, and I was lonely because I'm quite the outgoing person. But yeah, as soon as I made my circle of friends, I was all good.
So if you could, do you go back to South Africa often? Have you been back in the 5.5 years that you've been here?
Yes, we went back to South Africa once, just to introduce my little boy to the family. Yeah, unfortunately, going with triplets is a bit of a different story, so that will have to wait a bit. But yeah, I just went. I went with my little boy when he was 11 months. That was in 2017. We went there, and yeah, it was nice to go over for holiday, you know, see all the family and friends just once. But I don't think, unless we necessarily have to, I don't think we'll easily just go back to go and visit. It's quite, especially now, you know, it's quite a big thing to go with 6 people over, and yeah, you can't just go and stay with your mom with 4 kids. It's a bit difficult.
And just driving around, because you need to have a car with
Yeah.
enough car seats and with enough baby car seats inside, and it's
different
much harder to move around. Melitta, have your friends and your family been here to come and visit you from South Africa?
Yes, yeah, we're quite fortunate that my in-laws as well as my mother have been visiting yearly, basically. They would come once a year, and then my brother's daughter, his daughter came to visit me when the triplets was still small. She just had to help babysit at that stage. So yeah, she was here, and that's basically it. Yes. Yeah.
And what would be your one piece of advice for any South Africans that are hoping or considering coming to Australia? Do you have any kind of wisdom that you'd like to share with them on what they should consider about coming over? Good idea, not, or what should they do?
Yes, I'm absolutely for it. I am not one day sorry that we did make this decision. I would say don't even overthink it, just do it, I would just, however, say that I would tell someone to rather try and come on a PR, permanent residency, rather than on a work visa. But, if that's your only option to get out, then just grab it and go with the flow, I would think. But it is a bit higher risk going over, and it costs just more because of the daycare and school fees and everything, medical care, which is not there if you come over with your permanent residency.
Yeah.
So it's just a good backup to have, the permanent residency. But I do know that it's quite expensive. I've actually found out the other day, and I'm quite amazed at how the prices went up since we left until now. So yeah, and try and do it if you can, coming over with, not without your kids, but before you have kids, I would suggest coming over. It's just it's so much more expensive, and it's difficult for grandparents to leave, for you to take away the grandparents, from them. It's better they don't know what they're missing, kind of thing,
And what's the one thing that you miss from South Africa, or of South Africa, or of being in South Africa?
Not much. I would probably say Cape Town. That is the thing I miss. Obviously, your family and your close friends, but I mean, of the city or whatever, I would think just Cape Town.
No specific food.
I'm just honest.
Yeah, oh well, absolutely. That's what we want. Is there any food that you miss specifically, or?
No, because we're quite fortunate. That's nice. Of the reason for coming to Australia is that you have everything here. You can have biltong here. You can have Mrs. Balls. You have everything that's here. Oma Biscuit. You've got everything here. My brother lives. Yeah, my brother lives in Sweden, and he struggles a bit because it's a different story there. The meat isn't as available as much as it is here. So it's basically like just living in Cape Town, to be honest, because it feels like you're still back in South Africa for me. I don't know about Melbourne and all of that, but yeah, it's definitely just feels like you're just around the corner from South Africa. It feels quite a lot like home.
Yes, it's just like another city in South Africa in a way, but without a lot of the problems. Is how I see it.
Yeah, just a lot safer for the kids as well. Yeah.
Melitta, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. It's been an absolute pleasure to get to know you and learn more about your whole move here. And it's so heartwarming for me to hear that somebody like you, who've had a tough 5.5 years, because I know what it feels like to have 4 children, and to have that when you've just moved across to a new country and you're literally thrown into the deep end with 4 little ones, but you've absolutely embraced this place and made it your own. And I would say you're a boer maak 'n plan, and you just keep going forward, and a place in the end is what you make of it. So well done on
Yes.
you for doing it for your
Thank you.
family, and it's lovely to have you in Perth with me, even though we're
Yeah.
online, but it would be lovely to catch up for a coffee sometime. So thank you once again for having a chat. If there's anything, any last thoughts that you want to share with our viewers?
Yeah, I would just say, you know what, the thing, I think your frame of mind is extremely important when you move here. Obviously, for people that are very family orientated, it might be a bit more difficult. I love my family very much, but we are quite independent people, so that wasn't as difficult for me. But I just think stay positive and see everything as an adventure. And I remember when I was still young, somebody always used to tell me, just grow where God has planted you. And that has always stayed with me my entire life. And I think that's the best thing that drives you is just make fun of it. The first few months we were here, we were sitting on crates and on the floor, and you can either feel sorry for yourself or make fun of it and enjoy it. And there's something that you can tell your grandkids about one day and laugh about. And yeah, so I think that is just see the good side. There will be stressful times, but yeah, just stick it out and keep on going and trying and stay positive, because yeah, this too shall pass. It's all I can say.
That's true. This too shall pass.
Yeah.
Lovely. Thanks again. And please have a lovely afternoon, and go and hug and kiss those little ones.
I will
And,
definitely.
maybe stick them for a nice outing this afternoon.
We actually did this morning, so they're sleeping
Oh,
now.
lucky. Oh, now it's time for you to get some rest.
Yes,
Thanks, Melitta. Take care. Lovely
Thanks.
to talk to you.
Thanks, you too.
Thank
Bye.
you. Goodbye.
Bye.